Day 14 on the Ohenro Trail, probably the most difficult day physically. It was hard getting out of bed, and then at each break it was hard to get back up and start walking again. I just wanted to sit at my lunch spot for another 30 minutes or sit at my rest spot, but I had to keep going. Probably only made worse by it was the longest I'd gone about 23 miles, where most days I'm going about 19, 20. So physically very tiring. I started off the day by visiting Temple 27, which is up in the mountains. It's supposedly a non-show, but it really wasn't that difficult. It was a 1-hour hike up, nothing like Temple 12. And then the rest of the day was spent walking along the highway. And then, or at least the first half of the day was walking along the highway. And it was kind of interesting as you get around the Cape Moroto is pretty abandoned. It's pretty, there's one road that goes down there, but there's not a lot of traffic down there. No trains go down there. Most sort of cut across the triangular point much higher up. And today I sort of started to intersect with that higher up intersection point. It became more typical of Japan with convenience stores every couple of kilometers and stores along the highway. In walking along the highway, you just kind of, because there's mile markers, you kind of just walk and you can watch the mile markers or the kilometer markers tick away. In the later part of the afternoon, there's a really long bike path, but it was actually also for walkers, and I was along that, and sometimes it was on the sort of inland side of the coastal defensive wall, and at other times it was on the outside. I was sort of walking along right next to the beach for a good many kilometers. I stopped at my first Michi no Eki today. These are basically farmers markets all over Japan with local produce being sold and sometimes little restaurants. It was a Saturday, and the Michi no Eki I was staying at was near the ocean with a giant sort of island on it that kids could run around. I think it was called Lover's Island, but mostly I saw kids running around there. There was a vendor making yakitori, and I went up to buy some yakitori, and then they gave me some tempura potatoes and some mochi for free. And this is called settai. So there are people who give pilgrims settai, or offerings. Up to now, a lot of the settai I've gotten has actually come from people at the Nokyo show. After they sign the book, they recognize that I'm walking, and they'll give me like a little cake or some hard candies. A couple of memorable settai so far as I was taking a break in front of like a construction site, and these elderly couple pulled up in their car and handed me 2 butterscotch candies. Another time I was walking down a road, and a little old lady was sorting her oranges, and she called me over, Japanese style, hey, 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 and gave me an orange, and then she looked at me and goes, "You're big," and then gave me 2 more. So that was the sort of typical settai. But yesterday was the first time I sort of was planning to buy a meal, and the vendors just sort of provided me with half the meal as a settai. So you never know when you're going to get it or what to expect. Sometimes people might stop you walking and give you a can of soda, or someone in the store might buy you a meal. Generally, settai it's meant for all pilgrims, but most often it is given to walking pilgrims more than, say, bus pilgrims. If a bus of 40 people pulls up, someone's not quite as likely to give them give everyone on the bus a can of soda, though they might give them all a orange. I also ran into another elderly lady farming who had this little Ohenro shack set up, and I had just taken a break, but she called me in and told me to make some coffee, so I had a cup of instant coffee, and she had this whole shack with little dolls and Henro signs everywhere. I keep mentioning all these elderly ladies I'm running into, and it's kind of indicative of what you see in the countryside of Japan today. A lot of elderly farmers and not many young people. There are some, but not many. And as a consequence, I keep running by lots and lots of abandoned houses. So it's either an abandoned house or a house where an elderly couple or elderly widow or widower probably lives. You can really see the changing demographics of Japan and the emptying of the countryside as you walk the Ohenro. I'm approaching Kochi, and there's a group of temples in Kochi, so I'm going to be hitting them over the next few days. Tosa is tough. This going long distances without hitting many temples to break up your day and take off your backpack and sort of relax for a little bit makes it a bit of a grind.